anger can be extremely motivating. Anger has a bad reputation, but there's nothing inherently wrong with being angry. In fact, it's actually a very healthy response to a threat. And I have to remind myself of this because I don't feel very comfortable being angry, even though I am angry. It's hard for me to often channel it and express it. So in pre-pandemic times, I could channel my anger and my frustration about something into my writing, and it becomes this desire to prove yourself, a desire to speak up for yourself and to stand up for what you believe in. And I think we're seeing that now with the Black Lives Matter movement, and it's sort of gaining national attention, that anger is being channeled most of the time in a productive way. But constant anger does deplete you. And I think it's an interesting question about how we hold our anger and sift through it and still understand we're upset at something, but not be consumed by our anger for extended periods of time. I think when your work, especially your creative work, is implicated in your anger, meaning you're angry maybe that you can't work or that you don't have access to your creativity or your outlets anymore, it becomes especially challenging to cycle through that anger and return to your work. And really what happens for me is I have to remind myself that my creative work is mine and no one can take that from me. So even though I don't know when my next performance will be, and I don't know, what commissions will look like in the coming years, I remind myself that I'm a writer because I love to write, and I'm a composer because I love to compose. And this is easier said than done, but I think reclaiming what's yours, reclaiming your right to be creative, your right to protest, your right to rest. All of these things are so important for your mental health and for processing the abundance of anger that I think is present right now. Some things that I do that help. I have to say exercising is a huge one. Even if it's just running in place in my room for 5 minutes, I feel a lot better. Journaling, talking to people that you trust, talking to a therapist if you need to. I also will play music loudly and I will sing loudly. I'll sort of listen to something that kind of exemplifies how I'm feeling, just to kind of get it out of my body. And really just talking about how you are angry with people that will listen and be respectful and not try to take that anger away from you. When we're talking about a fight, flight, or freeze response in your nervous system to a threat, the fight response is usually my last resort. And it's because, as I mentioned, I'm often uncomfortable feeling my own anger. So a lot of times my anger is actually posing as anxiety because I'm so uncomfortable with the idea that I could be angry about something. And I think, as a woman, personally, I've always seen myself as a caretaker, and that anger is not feminine. And this is just true for me, not for women in general. But it can be very important when I do feel that sort of triggered anxiety response for me to ask myself, wait, am I really anxious or am I actually very angry? And if I'm angry, what can I do about it to accept that I'm angry and then get that energy out of my body and try to return and reclaim what it is that I want to do with my life. Okay, thanks for listening, and feel free to share your own thoughts about how you deal with your anger.